Thank you very much. Well, as promised, we're always on the lookout to bring you interesting inventiveness and innovation here in Adelaide, and today is certainly one of those moments. Robyn White. Robyn actually works with me at the Players Centre, and she happened to share something she was working on, and I thought, oh, I know you would really appreciate the innovation and the inventiveness and the thinking process going into that. So I immediately had a bit of a chat to her about being interested in sharing that with us here at the Inventors Association. Robyn is actually a multidisciplinary artist. She paints, she makes stuff, she does stuff. Some of the stuff, if you go to her website, Mona Lee SA, you will be absolutely amazed about different, I guess, mediums of art that she's involved in. I'm always, whenever she shows me a project, I'm like, oh wow, that's amazing. So very, very creative person. And also facilitates workshops at events and does a whole bunch of stuff. So it was no surprise to me when Robyn showed me what she was working on. And just for those of you who have some special projects, Robyn also works on commission. So if you want to commission an artwork or a piece, talk to Robyn afterwards. She's very passionate with working with wood. And she certainly, I've sort of written this here, but she has a maker spirit and really has a go at that stuff as well. But I've also invited Robyn here to tap into the group, because the stuff they're making to scale might require some ideas that you guys have that could provide some hints or some guidance on how to do stuff, and we've already shared some stories about some of you there. Now, I want to introduce Ringo. Jamie White. Jamie's also a creative and been in the music industry for over 47 years. He started drumming when he was 17.
I started a little bit before that.
Before that.
It wasn't until I played my first public performance
At 17.
Yeah.
And he's a professional drummer now. He's taught students. He's recorded and written and performed original music. He's toured most of Australia's states and performed at countless venues. He's part of the Patricks, which is a group, and I've seen bits of that on YouTube, and it's really cool stuff. Jamie's particularly influenced by 80s music. Jazz, soul, funk, any music that has a fundamental groove.
Absolutely.
And I'm quoting him here saying that he considers it a privilege to share his passion for drumming and entertain audience who have also that love of music. And having known some of you as well, we're from that era where we really love real music. So look, without further ado, I'm going to hand over to Robyn and Ringo, Jamie, to tell us about Groove Dance, how it came about, where they're at, and share that amazing journey with us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. You've been a great crowd. We'll see you later. Thank you very much. It's been a great performance. Thank you for inviting Robyn and I. It's a real privilege to be here. I've met some of you already. There's some musicians in the audience. I always get a bit nervous when there's, just before I go on stage and somebody comes up and says, there's some really good drummers in the audience, Jamie. Okay, all right. But the one thing I know is that I believe in what I do and how I play, and that's basically what I do. You don't have to be the best, but you have to be confident in what you do. Inventions. I looked up the Google meaning of it, and I've come up with something that says inventions are an idea, a thought, or a dream of a product or process that can assist individuals or has the ability to help mankind, or simply to create or redefine a current process. And I guess that's basically what we're trying to do. Let's look at some of the inventions that have probably shaped mankind. Of course, there's the initial one, which is fire, there's the wheel, there's the aeroplane, there's vaccines, and the motor car. But lately, there's been current inventions like the smartphone, all right? The internet, geez, where would we be without the internet, all right? And GPS, that's just some of them. Now, I know that Groove Demon drumsticks aren't going to change the world, all right? But that's my dream, all right? But they will help drummers and music makers as an alternative, all right? You're probably wondering where the name came from, and I'll give you a brief history of where Groove Demons came from. In about 1995, I moved from a small country town, Portland in Victoria, to Melbourne with a company. And of course, I didn't know anyone, and the only thing that I had in my kit bag was I was a musician. So down on the Mornington Peninsula, down on Rosebud, I canvassed one of the local music stores and said, look, I'm a drummer, can I come and do some drum teaching with your students? You will charge $15, I'll take 10, you take 5, right? And that was a way to get me into the music industry down in Melbourne, all right, and to get to know people. And I still have some lifelong friends down there that I play with, all right? But the good thing is, back in those days in 1995, the Herald Sun every Saturday used to have what they call an entertainment guide. And in the entertainment guide, there'll be ads for musicians. And of course, all of a sudden, all these ads came up for drummers. So what was I going to do? I didn't know anyone, so I went and started to audition for groups because I needed to start playing. Happily enough, I got an audition with a band in Melbourne, and this was about when soul and all that was happening. And I got an audition with them, and then we were I got there about 2 hours early because, as you know, when you do an audition, what you do is you listen to all the other drummers, hear the mistakes that they made, so that when you get your audition, you stand out, okay? So I stood there for 2 hours and I was listening to them, and this was a big band, this was 8-9 piece, horn section and what have you, all right? So I got in there, did the audition, loved the music, got the job, all right? So we had to come up with a name, all right? So we're sitting around, and because we had the horn section, and because when Robyn and I were looking for names, we're thinking, what's this? Twix, there's beat sticks, it's got to have something to do with drumming, what have you. And I said, and you know, there was a lot of red wine, wasn't
Yeah,
there?
there was a lot.
There was a lot
There
of
was
red
a lot.
wine. All right, and I think that's where I do my best. A couple of red wines, you get a bit lateral thinking, like you all here. All right, and I know
These guys are probably without the red wine right now.
I'm sure we could share some. All right. So what happened was we're sitting there, and of course I said, I used to play with a band in Melbourne called the Groove Demons and the Horns from Hell. All right, and they were fantastic. For about 2.5 years, I played with them. I still know all of them. And 5 years ago, I wrote my life story, and it was 20 pages, and I named every musician that I played with and every venue, and I sent them a copy. That's how important it was to me, all right? So that's how we came up with Groove Demons, all right? Because it says two things. Groove, because that's what drummers do. Demons, yeah.
Bit edgy.
Bit edgy, you want to be a little spicy, you know, sort of stuff. And it sets it apart from other manufacturers and what they're saying, oh, these are just drumsticks or rods. No, these are individual, handcrafted, passionate by this lady here. And that's what sets them apart. So I'll hand over to Robyn, and then she'll start the presentation.
Alrighty, let's go. So, thanks for having us. This is great. I'm still really nervous, but lovely to meet you all. Had chats already. So, Sasha's done an amazing introduction, so you could all almost skip through the next one. This is me. The artist. This was me before doing a hens party paint and sip, which was a lot of fun. There's about 12 women sitting around. Whitey was one of the butlers. Another friend was a butler, and the girls, our daughters, were wearing little frilly aprons and helping serve drinks and stuff. So that was a lot of fun. Here he is. This is Whitey and one of his gigs. I don't need to introduce him any more than what he's already done and Sasha's already said. Alrighty, so this is where we get into it now. So this is a range of drumsticks that are available today. And this is where I hand over to Whitey. Oh, sorry, I will call him Whitey, that's what I know him as.
Alright, so on the far left you have your normal drumsticks, which are these basically.
Pointer, pointer, there we go.
Alright, so these are your normal drumsticks. They come in different sizes, like 5A, 7A, 7B, 7B, depending on the player and the hand size and what you want to achieve. Alright,
So that's these ones?
that's those ones.
So that's your regular ones.
And if anyone wants to know how to spin them,
Which is also them.
I can do that later on for you at no charge.
That's pretty cool, yeah.
Alright, beautiful. Then you have, these are the traditional rods.
Which are
that
these
they
ones here?
sell in the shops. Now these are inflexible, all they are is just bamboo with British woodgraft. That's all they are, alright? And then you have your brushes.
Brushes, these
alright?
ones?
So this is more for, your jazz, nice. Robyn knows where I am in the supermarket. Because you just
That's all I hear. I can't lose him.
Basically. And then you have your mallets. That's
Those
when
ones.
you want cymbal work and you really sort of want to really hear the cymbals and what have you. So they're the types that are currently in use that most drummers will use depending upon the situation. Oh my God, there's a picture. Yep.
Okay, so what happened is Whitey was using a particular drumstick, couldn't get them anymore because the guy that made them was in New South Wales. His brand was Groove Conduit, so that's another reason why we put Groove in the name as well. So he stopped making them, and so then he didn't have the drumsticks that he liked. So it was like an artist without a paintbrush, drummer without drumsticks, that kind of thing. So we kind of had to explore. So what happened is Whitey come up to me and asked, knowing I'm handy with a few tools and stuff, would I give it a go to make them? And I said, yeah, sure, no worries. Can't guarantee they're going to stay together or anything, but I'll give it a good crack. So this is what we've come up with for the moment. So we'll just go through and explore how we came about it, how they're constructed, all the trials and tribulations as well. So
This is the drumsticks in their natural environment, like David
out.
Yes, in their natural environment on the bass.
So the ones that are wrapped in blue there, they're the ones that I've made for Whitey all along, because at the time I couldn't find any other coloured shrink wrap, and that was kind of what was around at the time, so I just kept going with that. So Groove Demons, we've gone with red because we've gone with the theme of the logo and that sort of thing. So it's made in two parts. So you've got the dowel section here in the handle, and up here is the bamboo. They call them mini dowels, but they're just essentially skewers for your barbecue. Yeah, so they're bamboo skewers. And they, as Whitey was saying, they provide a different kind of sound. You can have them and play them like these normal drumsticks, so they make a really loud sound, or they can be used as a softer sound as well. And they can be flexible. So these rubber rings here can be moved up or down, taken off, put together to create whatever kind of flex that is needed for whatever sound that you're trying to make. So this is a little bit about Groove Conduit in New South Wales. He closed up and realised that no one else was around to make the drumsticks, and asked me to do it, and I said sure, why not, I'll give anything a go. So I used Groove Conduit handles over and over and over again, and drilled them out until they snapped or broke or too thin. So this is one of his handles here. It's got his name on it, and then like that's super thin and it's all cracked on the outside there. So eventually I had to work out how to do the handles myself. So that was a whole new challenge. Lots of trial and error, still working on that with lathes, drills, drill bits, spades, all sorts of jigs and things like that. And this is where I'm going to tap into some good people here, hopefully, to get some tips and tricks.
She's very handy with tools. I'm not. I've got to tell you a couple of things. I guard my hands with my life. So anything that is sharp or has a high-speed rotation, I don't go near. So if you think that I'm going to wash the dishes with a load of knives in the water, that's not going to happen. So I guard these because this is basically my living and this is what I do. The other thing that it's a little unusual about me, because I'm an unusual guy, is that I have no ticking clocks in my house. Now there's a reason for that, because clocks tick in time. So they go tick, 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 tick. Now that messes with my brain, because as soon as I hear ticking, it goes into all different shapes and sizes. Alright? So I don't have a ticking clock. Everything is digital or it doesn't tick. All right. So even things like in rhythm, like when I hear a raindrop it's going tick, 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 I immediately go into music. All right. So that's why I have no ticking clocks in my house. Yeah.
So we have an issue where the top of the drumstick, if you can go on, Whitey, please. This is an exhibit A, I guess you could say, of what happens when Whitey's playing and it's come apart. So the skewers have somehow come apart and just gone flying whatever direction the drumstick was going, and he had one of the tops come apart and hurl into the audience, which is not good. So that was kind of embarrassing because I've seen that myself and I'm just doing these ones going, oh my gosh, you know. Anyway, so that's another challenge. This is where they are made. So this is what I call the Daisy House. This is my studio where all the magic happens. So we had this built probably about 6 years ago. So this is where I hang out a lot in my spare time, and we also go up the backyard and have wine and fires and stuff in winter.
Decision making there, you see that? Around the fire.
And this is my workbench that I made myself here, and you can see like there's some drumsticks there, they're drying and what have you. Yeah, so that's where it happens. Like I don't have anywhere else. That's my job. And this little bit, you can't really see it, but there is actually a sink there on a stand that I built myself too. So I had somewhere to wash my brushes and that kind of stuff, wash hands, whatever. So yeah, that's the manufacturing zone. This is what they look like all packaged up in their new environment. So we've had to go to hang them up in stores. I put a hole in the end so that it can actually be hung from a hook. So they're hung like that, but there's a hole up here so they can still hang quite freely. All right, so this is going into the nitty-gritty, the bits of how it's all done. So these are the handles, 19mm wide eucalyptus grandis dowel cut to 200mm long. And I stand around there. Now this is a new toy, I'm loving this, and it's perfect because I've only got a small space, a small bench. So here I am trying to film and, you know, trying to... Have we got sound? We'll need it for some music coming up. All right, let's have another go, see if it's working.
You've got to press the play on the...
There we go. So this is a jig that has been made for me to use with my drill press. This block here is actually just what I stand them up in to dry, but I found it's actually quite good to put that in with the... Yeah, anyway, it's... I don't know how to say this really. So there's a metal ring just around here that fits the drill bit in it, and I'm still struggling to work out how to secure that so that it doesn't move. So that's my main problem. I've been able to get the drill press to obviously drill straight, but the problem I'm having is stopping the movement happening here. I've tried using the plate and I've tried using the vise underneath, but everything still moves around, which has made it really hard for me to get it. So I'm doing like a big strong grip as well with the block while the other hand is pulling the drill down to get it right. So what had happened previous to this, I put it down the hole there. It fits perfectly down the hole, but it ended up drilling on a slight angle. Oh, thank you. Which created problems, and I thought, oh, this is going to be expensive firewood. But anyway, ended up straightening the holes and made the last batch, which is actually in there, and they're the good ones that come out of the batch. So the hole is 40mm deep, and we found that that's probably a good depth to have most strength with the glue to secure them in there. Wrong way? No, I'm not moving. Oh, we've stopped, sorry. Technical issues. I did this a bit earlier too, didn't I?
There you go.
Oh, well, there we go. Okay.
Yeah, I think it...
Yeah, it is a touchscreen. So that's, I tape around the ends there to make it more secure when I'm drilling, and also it helps it to give it extra strength when I'm hammering in the dowels. So there's 8 of them there. I glue on the inside and then I tap the dowels in with the end of a knife actually that I found. It's just an odd knife with a heavy handle, and that seems to tap them in, and I can I secure them up here as well just to keep them all tight and straight, and I usually eyeball it and just sort of twist them a bit just to make sure that the handle's here and they're not coming out sideways. Thanks. Oh, the pointer's working, but not here we go. So this is the ones that I drilled that I said were on an angle through the plate of the drill press, and sometimes it's hard to get a perfect centre. That one is really dodgy. But in the end, so that one there I didn't bother going ahead with. The other ones, they worked out pretty good. That's as close as I can get to central.
So there's a couple of quality control issues that we had with it, because the hole is really important to get it exact, because obviously if you have it too thin to the edge, it'll just break.
It splits, yeah.
Remember, when you use these sticks, some of it is not like a normal stick, right, because of the strength of them, because if you have just a solid piece of wood, that's easy. But if you have these, sometimes there's a little bit of movement because they flex. They're not like the rods, these actually flex. So a nice optophone, and we'll go in and I'll show you the dB ratings and what we did as well with these later on.
So that jig with the block of wood, using that seems to get the hole quite straight, and it seems to be working well for now, compared to those other ones I showed you in the previous slide. It's just stabilising it is kind of what I need to look at, somehow securing that bottom part so that I don't have to grip it so hard. So what I do then is I stamp them here with our logo, and I found that the stamp would actually bleed a little bit, so I used a spray adhesive that I had in the studio, and that seemed to fix it and stop it from bleeding, because it bled as soon as the varnish went on. It started to bleed, so it smudged a little bit anyway. So we're still trying to perfect that, and so I probably need to look at something. I'd love a wood brand, just to brand the timber, so it's perfect every time and I'm not getting smudges and stuff like that. So that's pretty much the basics so far. Thanks, Sash. There they are, they're all drying. Here's some of the complete ones here, with the red on them, and the others are just drying there, hanging out. That's my bench there that I've done some other arty stuff on it for the creative workshops and stuff, so it's a bit colourful in the garden. But what he does is, with the rings there, he'll also gaffer tape the ends as well to make them stronger and rigid.
Like that.
Like that one.
A little bit of gaffer on there. Though, last Saturday night,
I don't know if you can see.
The gaffer, and they were okay. I just moved the rings a little bit. So I'm always trying to give Robyn feedback on how I felt when I played them. We've had a number of discussions in the car coming home. I go, I felt this wasn't right, or I felt the glue wasn't right.
Or it's starting to move too much, or flexing too much.
Because I'll give you some of the technical things about drumming, is that most drummers will play between 110 and 120 beats per minute, right? Now in a 45-minute set, right, you're playing with 14,000 beats, all right? In a 3-hour set, you'll play nearly 40,000 beats, all right? So you've got to remember that when you're playing, you're doing this, and we've got the leg and what have you. I'll move over here and do that technical. So basically what happens is, it's also an occupational health and safety thing and a well-being for drummers, is that if you're doing it that quick, and mind you, I'm just a normal drummer, I'm not a speed metal drummer, and they go twice as quick. They're probably nearly happy with sometimes maybe 150, 160 beats per minute, all right? So with these, and I'll show you the resonance checks that we did on them when we graphed it, is that it's giving you a softer feel. So it's actually shock absorbing your hand, all right, which is important. So I've been drumming for nearly 47 years. So you can imagine my hands after a 3-hour show, right? They're sore, my feet are sore. I'm 65, I'm getting sore here, and I'm lugging and stuff. So anything that can help. And mind you, you have to use these sticks as they're not like a traditional wood stick, but they can be, but it all depends on how you play them. And there'll be some live performance footage that you'll see where I'm using them, it just sounds just as well, and then I'll jump on the kit and I'll show you what it sounds like, the difference. All right, okay. So that's, when you go and see someone who performs playing drums, they're probably doing, for a 45-minute set, 14,500 beats in that 45 minutes, and I'm talking 3.5 minutes a song, rather than 4 minutes a song. So it's a lot of work, basically, on your hands and feet. Yeah. There you go. Didn't know that.
All right, so after they've dried, then I snip the ends off, like measure them, snip them, and then I put the rubber rings on them. But I also sand the ends, round them off a little bit. The hot rods over there and the other ones that we've seen, they're just like straight cut. So that could be quite damaging to your skin, the drum skin as well. So, and bound with O-rings and shrink wrapped around here, and that's pretty much good to go. But prior to all that, I make sure that the dowels are all straight and as much as I can. And if there's any dodgy ones, I just let Whitey know that this is a dodgy pair and use them as a backup if you need it, and it doesn't matter if you don't use them. So yeah, just the old secateurs.
Highly technical. Look at the tools. Yes.
Yeah. Next one, thanks, Sash. So originally, the guy from Groove Conduit used, it looked like a putty, and we'll hand around the Groove Conduit handle. Have a look. I don't even know what it is, and I even asked at Bunnings and they had no clue. It's like a putty or something, and there's like a grey-green colour. I don't know, but you can see the residue still in there, so if anyone's got any clues what it is, let us know. We can give it a shot. But what I was using was the Tech Grip there for a while, which was great. But after a while I found that actually perished in the bottle, so it doesn't, because what I do is I make a batch of drumsticks at a time when I've got all the equipment and gear out, and then pack it away for however many months, and then by the time I get it out again, the glue's gone all yucky and it's all solidifying and setting in the bottle. So it's a waste because that stuff's not cheap either. So then I'm going for the old PVA wood glue, which is pretty strong normally, and so far that seems to be working okay, I think.
It does, yeah.
I'm not sure if there's anything else that can be suggested that we could try, always up for ideas and suggestions, but it's got to be able to handle the impact of all of that stuff that he just said before. But this was working okay. So you would have seen on the wood blocks where they're all standing in, there's all those blobs of foamy stuff. So it essentially just foams up. So then I was having to scrape off the additional bits so there's a bit of extra work in it, whereas the PVA just sets nicely. I'll do it a couple of times, that's good. Next, please. Is that working yet? No? Oh, thank you. So we'll go through and give you a little bit of information about timber facts. I won't go through everything because it's quite in-depth. So we tried the pine, we found it's too soft and it damages quite easy. Can you grab the other one? And leaves quite big chunks in there. So it's not as rigid and it's quite light. So you'll be able to see there that around the top of the handle there where he's done like rim shots or whatever, that's actually damaged the handle, so it's not good. It's not as durable. Eucalyptus grandis seems to be the next best and is slightly heavier than even the one the guy made from Groove Conduit. It's slightly heavier. I don't know what timber he used. If you know what he used and can work it out, let us know. I'm interested to know. So the pine is less durable, and we found Eucalyptus grandis is more heavy duty and more weight balanced for the purpose of drumming.
It's important for me to be able to feel through the drumstick itself. Not a lot of players will say, oh, I just go and play drums and I use the sticks. I've got to be able to feel it because there's lots that I do with different songs. So for me, I need to feel it, and that's going through my hands. I can alter my stroke from soft to harder if I need to, but I've got to be able to feel it, and that's where it comes in, where it's flexible, that helps me do that basically, rather than normal rods.
So the mini dowels, which are the skewers. So in some of them they use birch, and some of the handles are birch too. Bamboo is what I'm using because it's just your regular kind of, that's what I thought they were, that's what, so I thought we'll give it a go. They're the thicker ones, not your normal thin ones. So I think I was only saying the other day we might try the thin ones and see how that goes as well, see if there's much difference in durability, sound and feel and what have you. But they're pretty much of a muchness. Bamboo's obviously cheaper, more readily available because it's in your everyday Coles, Big W, whatever. And birch is a little bit more harder, more expensive to come by in that size. Thank you. Next one, let's see. So this is what's available at the moment. So as you saw, these ones here are the hot rods that Whitey has. You can get them at Derringer's, roughly around $56. And then you've got these other ones you can get similar from Temu, any of the, eBay and that kind of stuff. So they don't actually have a handle as such, it's just shrink wrap. A set of bamboo sticks, shrink wrapped, or birch, depending on, and with a little bit of a cap on the end. So they look right and they do the job, but it's personal preference again. So this is just a bit of a close-up what they look like, the different type of size lengths of the shrink wrap. This is off of an eBay site, right? If you look closely, the cap for the end is on here. So he's actually playing them upside down. That's on a professional site. So I looked at that and I just laughed out loud. I thought it was a bit ridiculous because clearly they don't understand drumsticks. Yeah. So anyway, we do, luckily. No, the animal's not happy. No, animal's not happy. So yeah, that was for a giggle. All right, have a listen. There we go. Okay, so that's just a little snippet, just the two of them. Whitey's got no mics or anything there, that's just full acoustic, and JR's got his little pedal and set up there and that was in our, in what we call the jazz house, which is our granny flat, essentially. So that's played at a lower sound. It's not like belting it out there, it's nice and soft and smoother. Yeah, thanks Ash.
There's a bit of a story too, with John playing guitar. All right, so I'll give you a bit of a history of sometimes the people that you meet and what can happen. Is that John rang me up one day and he said, Jamie, I've got a bit of an idea for a band. And I've gone, oh geez, nightmare basically, all right? Because I know what he's like, all right? He says, meet me at the Bath Hotel in Morwood and we'll discuss it over lunch. That was probably the wrong thing to do, all right? So we went down
6 hours later.
6 hours later, and lots of regs, he says, I want to form a Paul Kelly cover band, just does Paul Kelly, right? Nobody else is doing it, righto? So let's get some players. So we grabbed David Martin on keys. He had a friend of his that plays guitar. We had a female singer, a bass player, and we started just to delve into Paul Kelly's catalogue. Now it is huge, all right? For the first 3 years, we sounded abysmal, right? Because Paul doesn't write like a normal write when you write a song. He doesn't go first chorus, bridge, middle eight, first chorus. Because he's a poet, he transposes everything and it's all in a different place. And to play his songs, you have to be articulate because you can play rock, you can play jazz, you can play soul, you can play all different mediums, all right? So we came up with a name that was Stolen Apples, which was one of his albums. We went to Paul Kelly himself and said, we're looking at doing this. Would you like to authorise the band? Because you need permission when you do this. All right? A lot of people don't get permission if they're an AC/DC cover band. They don't do that. All right? We wanted to do the right thing by Paul. Paul came back to us and said, not a problem, I love the name, fully endorse it. All right? And we're just doing his messages. We're just doing his songs. So then we started a couple of performances. We went and met Paul Kelly personally at the old HQ on West Terrace, I think it is. There's a photo there with him and everything. He knew us by name before we got there. So he'd already checked on all of us and our website and everything. The man is so humble and a great songwriter. The band actually went for 10 years. So we toured, we played Paul Kelly's music, we wrote some songs, we performed some songs that we given to other people as well too. And at the end of March this year, there was a 5-year reunion of the entire band. So we're going to do a whole set of the old Paul Kelly numbers that we used to do. All right? So that came apart because I was playing with another band, and the girl that was the lead vocalist and the bass player played the Stolen Apples. And I played one song to her door. She turned around and looked at me, and you know that this is something that we have to do again. So I orchestrated everything. The guitarist was in Paris. He came back to Melbourne, that's where he lives. And at the end of March, we're all getting together and we're going to do his songs for one set. So they're the sort of things. What started as a lunch, a 6-hour lunch, has turned into 10 years of just playing some of the best music I've ever played in my life. Yeah.
There you go. Thanks, Sash. So this is another type of sound, so press again and...
With the sticks.
Yeah. So you can see how he's got them banded as well. So it just gives you that contrast of a little cruisy 2-piece session in the Jazz House acoustic to the Gov fully mic'd up. Oop, there we go. Next one.
No applause?
Not yet, not yet, not yet. Hold up, hold up.
So
I know, right?
Every time I've got to hear the story, and I'm known for this, and my daughters and Robyn, every time I hear applause, I just turn around and go, thank you.
Oh my God, it's embarrassing. It's embarrassing.
It's embarrassing.
Yeah.
Well, it can happen.
All right, so we'll go through some technical data, and this is where I hand it over to Whitey. He'll just breeze through all this.
Right, so this is, I thought I'd do this because of the people in the room, and your engineers and your lots of really intelligent people. I thought I'll do a dB rating to show the difference between a drumstick, a rod, and a groove demon drumstick. Now, this was done by Tony Majeski, who's been one of my sound engineer guys for over 10 years. He has a studio. We used all of those 3 sticks. We used the snare drum. He was a meter from the snare drum. We did the decibel readings, and then we charted it, basically to show what happens when you hit a snare with a drumstick, with a rod, and with a groove demon. All right? So this is a big, it's usually beyond this sort of stuff, because usually I just count to 4, but anyway, he was talking me through this. So the dB rating was 97.6, so when I hit it, the decibel read 97.6, and we measured it 1 metre from the drum by the sound engineer. The attack was very good, very little difference from normal sticks in the dB rating, but has a more prolonged bass note at the end. All right, so you're getting a warmer sound at the end rather than that sharp attack. All right, and I'll show you what that sounds like later on. All right, next one. Thanks, Sash. All right, so this was the rod. The dB rating was slightly less, it was 96.4. Still measured 1 for the sound. Attack was good from a single strike and has a sustained resonance and more of a bass note. So the rod had more of a bass note at the end. Okay? Some drummers like an attack straight away. That's why they use the sticks. So this one is showing that this one has more bass note. So when you hit a cymbal, it goes like this. And if you have an attack cymbal, it'll just go like that, all right? But this has more of a bass note. And the next one, Sash, please. All right, so the wood tip was 97.5, so it's only a little bit more in the dB rating. So if you're using it live, you hardly notice the difference, all right? And that's what I wanted to measure. But the attack is instant and it's sharper. So you get that rather than like that, which can be a much warmer sound when you're playing, or whether you're hitting the rack 1 or the floor tom, it's a warmer sound, all right? Engineers love that sort of stuff. Yeah. And the next one, please, Sash. Righty, so here's all your dB ratings, how they compare. The groove demons, 97.6, the rods were 96.4, and the sticks, 97.5. So there's not a lot of difference. So this is part of the marketing and the selling. You can still use the groove demons, and it's not much difference to a stick, all right? And it's all about preference, basically. Yep. Think for yourself.
No.
Sorry.
What happened there?
I don't know.
I'm not sure.
Drumsticks, we don't lose any attack as per
Oh,
normal
that's because you were
kit.
going to do a demo. We'll do that later.
We'll do that later.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. So, yeah, we can keep going. Thanks, Sash.
So you're not losing anything is the main thing. You're not losing anything.
Go
Right,
again.
here's the Patrick's.
At a gala event last year.
In front of about 400 people in Port Adelaide at the Morfetta. And this is when we actually get the violin out and you can hear it live. Yep. You can hear the cymbals and everything. Yeah. So,
That is one of my favourite songs they do.
So I'm not losing anything, but I'm getting a softer tone. It's better with my hands. I'm getting that flex. Now I've been using these sticks for about 8 years. All right, and you'll see some comments later on from people that have come and seen me play. Yep.
So here we go, features and benefits. So we were saying that it's an good all-rounder. Ergonomic flex is what he was talking about, because you can tape them, you can move the rings to whatever sound you want. Yeah, so and it's a bit better for the joints in your body as well. Different timber, like I was saying earlier, has been trialled for weight, and pine is too light. So even for me to lift it up, it was like too light on this end and this is heavier here. And yeah, of course they're all unique because they're handcrafted by me, of course. So then the quality is like, I'm perfecting it, it's getting there. So yeah, so it's still got a comfortable feel. White has been using them for a very long time now and still asking me to make them, so they must be okay. And now we've got people asking to buy them as well, because people have seen, the colour and the rings, and they're asking, what kind of drumsticks have you got? Because it's not very common to see anything like this around, so it's kind of come from there. And it can be personalised with your own name, your band name, your budgie name, whatever name you want, your initials on the end there if anyone purchased them. That's another optional extra as well. And as I was saying, the flex and sound can be altered with the O-rings, gaff tape, whatever you want to do. So it can be personalised for your own.
The bottom.
Yep, whoops, missed that part. Oh yeah, the bamboo's quite flexy and strong, and the uniqueness has proved to be a conversation starter for other drummers.
Yep.
So.
Apart from looking very attractive when I play the drums.
So this is another one at the Norwood Function Centre. So a little bit of a solo there, give you a bit more variety. Oh my God, I forgot that was in there. Yeah, occasionally I get called up when I play the tambourine as well. Yeah. My handful of tiny cymbals. So this is kind of how we worked out on our drum kit calculator. It kind of worked out that it costs roughly around $43 to make a pair. So we're kind of looking at around $55 to $60 retail, potentially, to start with anyway, and see how we go from there. So where to from here? So we've got the shirts, now we have to do something with it, and the business cards. So, there's all that merch stuff that we can do as well, going down the track, upgrading tools, of course, and thank you. And perfecting, getting those holes done. And then sales and marketing, of course. So this one here is the user and the marketer, and good for sales and good to chat. You'll chat with anyone. So we've only just this morning set up Instagram and Facebook for Groove Demons, which still is like a coming soon written on them, so they're not all complete or finished yet. Looking at other platforms as well. This is a bit of feedback so far. Good for playing live, soft feel. Would happily pay $70 for a pair if I can get that. That would be great. And they love the personalised handle because they got a personalised set.
There was a guy that came up to me where he says, because of the way they were being played, I could hear the whole band and the drumming was complementary, not competitive with the other band members. So he was a musician, so he came up to me personally and said, I love that, you know, they're not, you know, you're loud over the top, I can hear everything, and it gives you a better sound because when you play live, it's all about sound, all right? It's how you perform the song, it's all about the sound, how you connect. So you want to make sure that when you're playing with the other band members, it's a team effort. Everyone's playing their own instrument and they're aware. So I'm like the stage manager on stage with the Patricks. So I'm the one that sort of counts them, looks for things, does this, orchestrates endings, just make sure they're doing everything right, basically. Yep.
So a bit of a positioning statement there about how with ours it's a different kind of feel, I guess. It can be very personalised to each user, how they choose to use the rings or the tape or what have you. They can get it, as you can see here, that's personalised set. So it's a little bit individual and different to what other drummers are using. So it's got that little point of difference as well that can create a bit of a buzz. That's all from us so far. So we hope you've enjoyed listening to our little story about drumsticks, and free to ask any questions soon. So and again.
Yes, what exactly is a positioning statement?
I got no idea. It's just something I found was really fancy. Just sums everything up.
Let's put our hands together.
Thank you, thank you. I think there's another one after that, Sash. I can't remember how many. Oh yeah, there we go.
So we'll do, if you've got any questions, I'll just show you. I brought Tina along tonight. So Tina is my drum kit. And the reason why, something I prepared earlier.
Is it Tina Turner or Tina Arena?
Well, it's named,
Tina Sparkle.
It's Tina Sparkle after, what was it?
Strictly Ballroom? Strictly Ballroom.
All right,
Yeah.
Tina Sparkle because she sparkles. So I have a fairly unique drum kit that people see. I had a guy walk into the garden and said, I'll give you 20,000 for it straight away. I said, no, I'm not selling it because I use some very rare drums. But like most drummers nowadays, we're starting to scale down from the big kits to the smaller kits. And drums have changed so much over the time that I first started to where they are now with woods that they make them, with wraps, with the technology that actually goes into drums, and especially with the skins. The important thing to remember with drumming is the creativity doesn't come from here, it comes from here, all right? Because that's where it all comes from. So it's an instrument, but you've got to be creative with the instrument. That's really important. All right, so if I get a normal stick, and this will be a little loud, so I'll try not to hit them too hard, all right, okay? So as we're talking, here's a normal stick.
Jeebus.
Yep, and here's the good. All right, but I can do something really soft. But when you hit this, so it's got a little bit more of a bass tone in it when you do it. That's how I play it. All right, and you can turn around, you can still do that, or you can still go around to. All right, so. both if you want to. So it's up to the drummer himself. You can still use this on your right hand and still use these on your left if you want to get the attack. It doesn't matter. All right. So that's the difference. With cymbals, you still get the attack. So the beauty is, I'm not losing anything. I'm not losing anything. You might think, oh, you've got to play softer. The only downside with using these is, you'll see a lot of drummers will have a ride cymbal here. It's a fairly big cymbal, and they go like this and they ride. Right?
Is that the one that goes up and down?
No, that's here. That's the hi-hat that goes up and down. Good question though. The thing is, when a lot of drummers, when they go into a chorus, they're playing on the ride cymbal here to give it a nice smooth sound, or they're accenting things, right? However, with the group demons, you need to be a little careful. Because those ride cymbals have a really big crown, this is the crown here. If you continuously hit that, it'll put more flex on the stick, all right? And you'll basically break the stick. So you can't go flat out on the crown. You can, but you just need to be careful with it. That's
why we need the stronger glue or another alternative to try so it's not so...
So I'm not losing anything by using these. It's a really hard market because drummers are used to sticks. And that's how they play, and that's how everyone plays. They go to a drum store, they say, give me a pair of 7As, give me a pair of 7Bs. So that's going to be our challenge, all right? And to do that, what I'm doing is I'm giving certain drumsticks to certain high-profile drummers in Adelaide, right, to use, because then they'll tell other people. When we do the Facebook and everything, it'll go on Buy, Sell Drummers Australia. We'll put it on the global website as well, so we'll do that as well too. Then I'll start talking to some jazz musicians as well too, because they sort of like that sort of feel. So that's where I'm starting. And I'll probably want to do some in-house store demos as well too. So I'll go down and sit in the store for about an hour. Someone will come in or we'll put a display up and go, Jamie's here with the new Groove Demons. I'm already talking to Brad Pulley from Hindley Street Country Club, who's a good mate of mine. They're currently touring overseas with Hindley Street Country Club. So I'm giving them to the high-profile drummers that have lots of contacts. And that's where the feedback comes from. So that's part of my job. And every time I go to play, people will come up and say, look, I love the drum set, well, you know about the drumsticks that I'm using. So I use that as a tool while I'm playing as well too. So I'm never short of a word, basically, or tell them how good these are.
Well, I've got a feeling, Ringo, Jamie,
Yeah.
that you won't need to do any of that because you've just told these people and from here it's just going to...
Yes. So that's the good story about Groove Demons. Robyn has been absolutely amazing. I could not have done any of this without her, with the way that she's made the sticks, done a great PowerPoint presentation, makes them, keeps me in line, and just, she is the voice in my head. Basically, if I say something I shouldn't, she will realign me. Trust me. Okay. She's also a very good drummer.
Give them a big round of applause, folks.
Thank you.
We're going to open up